All right, what's up? What's up? Okay, I just saw. Well, I didn't just see. I saw yesterday. The Odyssey, and I let me just say, I'll say that right now. This is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Nolan film. And I say that as like, oh man, I love The Dark Knight. Like that is one of my favorite comic book films of all time. But when like I think I'd say it is definitely, and I still stand by that. I think Dark Knight is like probably up there as like one of the best. It's a great movie, and I think it's one of the best comic book movies of all time. But man, dude, and I let me just say I fucking love Oppenheimer and all the stuff he's done. And granted, I gotta say, take this with a grain of salt. I haven't seen Interstellar yet. I know, I really want to. I haven't found the time yet, man. I like busy, acting, auditions, that kind of thing. But yeah, I've been meaning to watch Interstellar for a while, but I'll get to eventually. So I guess if you hate this film or think it's mid and you think Interstellar is better, take it with a grain of salt. I haven't seen Interstellar yet. I love Oppenheimer, but I do believe this is his best film. I fucking loved the Odyssey. Now I say this as a guy who has dabbled in Shakespeare or has dabbled in like Greek mythology and the old stories. I'm not that familiar with the Odyssey. I have heard, I've seen the clips surfacing around where it's like, what is that? Is that one Justice League animated series episode with Batman talking to Jon Stewart, where it was like, when I forgot the line, but if I can try to remember it, it's like when when damn it! I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But anyway, I thought this movie was great. This might be my favorite Nolan film. Dude, the scale of it, the like acting was fucking crazy. Let me get the clip out. So let me get the cast list. Let's see, the Odyssey. Odysseus, dog. Matt Damon killed it. Oh my god, I think you cannot talk about this film without talking about Matt Damon. I was not look. Okay, I've always said I thought Matt Damon was always a great actor. I never, it's funny. I always knew him for the Jason Bourne stuff. I had watched Good Will Hunting until well after, like when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I wouldn't say early 20s, but like late teens. That's when I started watching. That's when I first watched Good Will Hunting. I didn't know about how good of an actor Matt Damon was, because I just haven't been, I'm a nerd, so I've only watched comic book films for a while. Like my childhood to teens, I only watched comic book films, right? I only recently, when I got to like be older, my late teens and early 20s, I got to watch all these amazing films because that's when I got into acting. That's when I really started taking acting seriously. That's when I started watching classics, like Casablanca, Godfather, all these films, and even like romantic films, like rom-coms. I love rom-coms. But, I had never, I thought Matt Damon was exquisite, bro. He was very exceptional. I thought, and goddamn, he bulked up for this film. My God, he was like ripped as shit, man. I think he was great. I think let me just say off, no bad performance in this entire film. Penelope, Anne Hathaway, I thought she was great for the woman who was like just grieving her husband and just waiting for him to come home, and she played that so well. I didn't hate her character at all, man. I thought, like, I understood what it was like being like loving your husband, not wanting him to go on this to not like go on the hunt for Troy, knowing that it'll probably be 10 years, and then him and Timotheus. Fuck, I'm so bad with names. Timithicus, I think that's it. When Tom Holland, the son of Odysseus, Tom Holland, I thought he was great too. Just I thought to go back to Penelope Anne Hathaway. I thought she was great, being this like mother who was taking charge of this kingdom, had lost their king, and just being also grieving a grieving widow and just waiting for her husband to come home. Oh man, I think she was great. I thought, and just portraying the sadness, the longing, dude, and like just like even say like Robert Pattinson's character, he had to kind of saying like, oh, you're like purposely trying to break off the strings just because you're waiting for Odysseus to come home and stuff, you know. So I thought she was great. And let me just say, Tom Holland, man, I've always been a fan of Tom Holland. I think he's a an amazing actor, dude. I've never once said that. Even the films that may not be like, people may say like it kind of like as the kids say mid. I thought Tom was never bad. I think he was, especially in like the Spider-Man films, especially like what No Way Home and Brent and Far From Home. I think those the second film in particular, it was really carried by his performance. I don't think he's ever been. He's never phoned it in. Even I say that as like a guy who was a big Uncharted fan. I don't think he ever phoned it in. I don't think he phoned it in this film. Um, I thought he was great, portraying. Oh my God, the look of. I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but like the look of when he realizes when he has the revelation of just like the realization and also like the happiness, the overwhelming like emotion coming off his face where he's like so like the tears of just realizing the fact and even earlier in this film when he kind of gets pushed around betraying like all that emotion of being like sad and stuff like I thought he was great, dude. Again, no bad performance. Athena Zendaya, of course, great. Her story was very sad. I thought she was great too. Whew. Oh my God, I can talk for hours, dude. I loved like just let me just say like this. I think this is Nolan's biggest like film. Like this is one of. I think this is 1,000 times bigger than what he did with Oppenheimer, man. Because even that was like grand scale. It was such an epic movie. This is like literally an epic. Like I say, and this is me being a Star Wars fan, where it's like it's like Revenge of the Sith is being like trying to be a heartbreaking, tragic epic. This movie was a legit epic, dude. It was like in the terms of it being like it was epic to watch, and also it being an epic of like this man's journey getting back to Ithaca, and all like just seeing the dynamics. Oh my God. The journey of him getting back to Troy. Now, I gotta say, people were saying, like, oh, it wasn't really like him. Well, I'll start. I'm having so many thoughts, but I do understand people's point where it's like, okay, the Odyssey, it wasn't really doing the story correctly because if I'm not mistaken, this movie has less to do about him fighting the Cyclops and more about the inner turmoil the inner turmoil he had to deal with from the takeover of Troy and then getting back to Ithaca. Like all that journey to get back there and then reclaim his throne of Ithaca. Like all that was more about that was what the film was most about. And just kind of like exploring the dynamics of like the world and just like the oh my God, the siren when anyway, I'm getting spoiled, but yeah, it had more to do about that, just like his journey and his inner like conflict of what he had to do to win the war, and because this movie deals with Zeus's law, like let's from my understanding, Zeus's law is like uh the gods are always watching. You don't know which person can be a god, so treat everybody with respect. Treat everyone with respect, and welcome everyone into the kingdom. If you are a king, welcome them into your home. If they're asking for food, you give them. It's like kindness, like basic kindness. Treat them well because you don't know if they're actually a god in disguise. That was what Zeus's law was essentially, from my understanding. So for him having to like exploring that. Just seeing the kind of like the not what the bad side of that when it came to Ithaca and like just like seeing how this movie played out with it, and they're just all just like exploring some things about love and loss and wanting to be better and inner guilt and kind of like it's like an old like war movie where it's like the things I had to do to win the war. I help it. You don't realize it, but they don't tell you in the middle of the film. But as you learn more about Odysseus' character, like that is the main reason why that's his main conflict in the film of like what he had to do in the Trojan War to win the Trojan War, and what he saw at Troy. So yeah, big also big like revelation and big like triumphant. Also big payoff when we actually get to see Troy, because like Nolan does this thing where we're at the present, then we're at the past, and we're at the future, then we're at the past again. So finally, when we get to see Troy, that was satisfying, and then whatever came after was great too. So yeah, I think now again I might be alone on this, but I thought this movie was amazing. I wish I saw this in IMAX. I saw it at I saw it at 86th Street. It's like that is the one closest to me, but it's also like it's a like homey kind of like, it's like a community theater. Like it's like one of those theaters you go to like a town, they have their own theater and stuff. That's what it is for me. So I love going there. But I love seeing. I need to see this in IMAX. I actually bought my ticket already. I bought my ticket. I bought a ticket for IMAX. I did it. I'm watching this movie twice. I'm gonna see it on Wednesday. At I think 42nd Street and watch that in IMAX, because that it's a must watch. I encourage, it's 70 millimeters I think, but yeah, you need to watch this in IMAX. I wish it's what Nolan kind of wants people to watch it in, but I think if you go to Laser or like or Regal or whatever, like if you just go to a regular screening, it still hits. Especially, I will say there was one movie that made me laugh. I was sitting next to, this is like a cool moment. I was sitting next to a couple, right? We're at the theater and stuff, and it was funny because like, we were joking around because there were some funny moments in the movie where like movie kind of gets there's some like, it's not all the time, there's some funny jokes, but there was one unintentional joke where towards the later film where like the character says like a line that's like, yeah, I'll do this, and it's like supposed to be like, oh shit, he's gonna do something, and then it's like him walking away, and it's like, I don't know if it's Hans Zimmer doing the score, maybe it might be, I haven't done the research, but it felt like a Hans Zimmer kind of, so it's like they did the as I'm walking out, and it was so loud that me and the guy next to me and his girlfriend were crying, dude. It was like we just started laughing. I started laughing and they started laughing. So it was like, oh my god, and I literally turned to the dude. Again, this is a complete stranger, by the way, but we both were like, we're on the same time, and we became friends that day. I just say like, at that moment we were buddies. I like turned to him and said, "Yo, someone ripped ass, dude," because it was so loud. It sounded like a fart. But it was so funny. But I'd say that's the that's the one thing that sticks in my mind, dude, because I've never seen. I haven't been to a movie experience for like a dwomp to be that fucking loud. And I've watched a lot of Nolan films, and it was so loud. Just like, yo, what? That's the only unintentionally funny thing about this film. But aside from that, this movie was amazing. Action was great. It's like, again, we're long past the like what the criticism of the Batman films. Sorry, I have a list. Criticism of the Batman films where it was like, oh, the action's kind of wonky. I think this action in this film were great. I think he really honed in, especially because like we're in a Spartan era where we got swords and shields, bro. This ain't like the Oppenheimer where it's like we're actually in a battle movie. It's a war movie, and it's like in the olden times with Greek mythology and gods and shit, cyclopses, witches, and we got like giant metal soldiers. Like we like all that, and he portrays it so well. And I gotta say this, I gotta give Nolan credit. For a man who doesn't like to use CGI, he found a very creative way to use it and still be realistic in a way. Again, it's like, because this is the movie where it was like, how is he gonna do it? When Nolan said he was gonna do the Odyssey, it's like, okay, it's gonna have a lot of magic. It's gonna have magic elements. So how is he gonna portray that? And I think he did it in a way that was a mixture of both, while also using practical. Like he went to, it's like the old school way of like making those movies, like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. It was like everything was practical in its like magic, like everything, like even like when bodies are contorting or branches and trees are shifting where unnaturally, like that is all like practical, but it's in the way of magic. And even the Cyclops having a mixture of humanoid and also magic. The way, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's the way he did it. It was gonna be done a certain way, and the way Nolan did it was the only way Nolan could do it. And I think he did a great job, man. I think for me, I have to watch it again. Again, this is like me watching it yesterday and then coming back from work today to just talk about it. But dude, this movie was incredible. I would highly recommend everybody watch it. I think this is great. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan, bro. You gotta watch the movie, right? Originally, watch it regardless. But that being said, I do understand the criticism of it not being so like the Odyssey, just more about it's like a people were comparing it to Oppenheimer, saying it's like, oh, it's another guy who made the story and now feels bad about what he did, and it's like it was like, oh, it's a sequel to Oppenheimer, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like this was even yes, it may not be super accurate to the Odyssey, like the basics of the story, like if it like should have been focused on Odysseus and the Cyclops, but I felt like what they did was a great story. I felt like I don't know how accurate it is, but I think like it was a story I felt like it was worth telling because it portrays a lot of stuff: grief, love, loss, uh, um, you know, uh, self doubt, and just like being in control of your destiny and what you can have, what you can't, what you lost, what you want, and like, whew, so heavy. Like movie to me was like I like thinking about it again, recalling it. It's like this movie was hard to watch sometimes because it portrayed a lot of like just sad emotions, man. So I felt bad. It's again, and I think like again, let me just say, Rob Pattinson was great too. Calypso, great. Circe, great. Amias, I'm pronouncing this wrong. That was played by John Leguizamo. It's funny. I never expected John Leguizamo to be in this movie. uh John was good. It's like I was surprised to see him, but I fucking love John Leguizamo, and I'm like, oh, he played it perfectly. Like this older man who's a loyal friend to like Odysseus and his son, um, you know, and then whoever was Rob Pattinson's the reason why I say Rob Pattinson is because I don't know how to I forgot his I think it's Atenius. Atenois. I forgot the way of saying it. I'm really bad with names. You can't tell, but his character's name. Him being like being the leader of the suitors and trying to marry Penelope was again he Robert is such a great actor where he is so good at playing pretty much anything, like so talented at being the good guy, but also when he's the bad guy, oh, he kills it, man. I mean, Mickey 17, his character here, he is that character where you love to hate. Like he's so good at just play. Again, he's a great actor. I love this guy. He's a big inspiration for me, where he can play such a great like hero, but such a great villain, man. Like it's like the sniveling one, like behind the scenes. Like it's like like who get this peasant in this house? Shut up, peasant! Like he had fun. I can tell you had fun. But also being like a favorite of Nolan's. Putting him in this film. I thought he was perfect for the role. So yeah, I thought nobody was bad in this film. Nobody phoned it in. Oh, even the soldiers, man. I don't know who played I don't know who played the main commander, like the second hand for Odysseus's group, but he killed it, man. I'm trying to look at the cast list right now, but he was great, dude. I thought, and every one of Odysseus's soldiers was great. The one I recognize the one of them. I forgot his name, but he was what's his name? Hold on, the actor who I'm not gonna search up now, but it's my boy. Yeah, he was for anybody who's played Sleeping Dogs. My boy Wei Sheng. So I remember him. He played Wei Sheng in that game. I love Sleeping Dogs. That's my dog. Love Wei Sheng. So he's been in a lot of movies, and it was good to see him here too. And he was pretty cool too. But yeah, movies also gross too. By the way, when they go into the witch place, like oof. And also it's like that was pretty gruesome. But again, I'm just more fascinated how he did that, and the way he did was like again mixture of CGI and also practical. So he got people in the makeup chair and did all kinds of weird stuff on them. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And also I heard that this was a pretty rough shoot from what I heard. And they even finished. They finished like a couple like 10 days before their actual scheduled finish date. So and I think it was because it was like this movie needed to have. I think this movie being so hard goes to the testament of how like great this movie was. Because like this was like people are in battle, like they're fighting, you have so many locations, and you're out there on foot for long hours. Like only you can only make a movie like this for and it's not going to be easy at all. A movie like this needs to be like made a certain way, and it's not going to be easy. So the fact that they pulled it off and made such a great film, it's Nolan, so it's good. I know I'm shilling for Nolan right now, but like it's Christopher Nolan, man. Will I ever? Would one day I would love to work with him. Who knows if I ever get the opportunity? But I'm just happy to be working. I'm just happy to be a working actor at this point. But I would. It's he's I love his films, and I think Odyssey is probably. I mean, I'm just watching it now, so I'm like obviously a little bit biased because I just seen it, but I think it's gonna be a top three for me, at least if not a top one of Christopher Nolan films, followed swiftly by Oppenheimer and The Dark Knight. So yeah, that's all I really got to say about it. I hopefully I didn't want to get into super spoilers because you gotta watch this film. But to any of my people watching or any of my boys watching, please go out and watch The Odyssey. It's a great time. Thanks.